The series begins in the American neighborhood of Hackensack. People are holding yard sales, selling unwanted items for little money. We focus on a 14-year-old named Jake, who walks among the sellers and notices a doll named Chucky. The seller, his neighbor, doesn't remember where she got the doll. Jake buys it for $10. On his way home, Jake listens to a podcast by his classmate Devin. Devin talks about Hackensack's reputation for strange people and serial killers, with a 25% increase in crime rates in recent years. This is the highest rate since the infamous serial killer Charles committed heinous murders in 1965. When Jake returns home, we see his room filled with models made of bloody heads. He's obsessed with collecting heads and creating models from them. Jake brings a knife to decapitate Chucky, but is interrupted by his father, who asks about his latest sculpture. His father doesn't understand his interest and encourages him to go outside and make friends. Jake prefers solitude and sculpting, mentioning his mother, a sculptor. His father reminds him that she struggled financially and used her earnings to pay off debts. Jake's relatives, Logan, Ray, and Junior, are coming for dinner. Jake dislikes Junior, who bullies him. His father asks him to take a sedative to deal with Junior. At dinner, Jake's father struggles with alcohol and fears embarrassing himself. Junior continues to bully Jake, mocking his models and his eccentric lifestyle. Jake's father loses his temper, throws a cup, and insults his son. Later, Jake hears a noise from his room and finds his father breaking the model he's been working on for weeks. Jake is heartbroken and doesn't understand his father's actions. The next day, Jake researches Chucky's doll and finds it's worth $1,500. He brings the doll to school to prevent his father from getting rid of it. Students tease him, and he encounters Junior and his girlfriend, Lexi. They ask why he brought the doll to school, and he tells them he plans to sell it. Lexi teases him and offers to lend him money. Jake declines, and Lexi takes a picture of him with Chucky and starts a donation campaign for him. Jake takes Chucky to the dissection class. The anatomy and science teacher, Eve, asks the students to explain the frog in front of them. Jake admits he's afraid of blood, but the teacher insists he dissect the frog to pass the class. Jake hesitantly picks up the scalpel, but when he sees the blood, he's terrified and turns away. To his surprise, the frog is already dissected. The teacher is impressed but doesn't believe Jake did it. The class receives a message and starts laughing. The teacher asks what's funny, and they reveal that Lexi posted a picture of Jake and started a donation campaign for him. The teacher is upset with Lexi's behavior. Jake asks the teacher to hide Chucky in the safe because he plans to sell it and needs a safe place. The teacher agrees. Lexi stops Jake before leaving and continues to scold him for his actions. She leaves Jake alone in the lab with Chucky. During lunch break, Jake listens to Devin's podcast about murders. Devin joins Jake, and they talk about the bullies at school. Jake admires Devin for being respectful and not bullying others like the other students. Devin invites Jake to join his podcast to discuss school bullies. Jake agrees. Lexi is still in the lab. She feels a strange movement behind her and sees Chucky standing in front of her. She feels scared. When the school returns to the lab, Lexi quickly hides Chucky in the safe and locks it. At night, Jake returns home and tries to sell Chucky online. A buyer asks if anything strange has happened since he acquired the doll. Jake is surprised and asks for clarification. The buyer warns him to be careful with Chucky. The next day, Jake tries to talk to his father before school to discuss his recent strange behavior. His father cuts him off and gives him Chucky, claiming he found it in the bathroom. Jake is terrified and throws Chucky in the trash. At the school talent show, Jake is in the audience. Lexi starts bullying him in front of everyone. Suddenly, someone in the audience curses Lexi, but no one knows who it is. Jake looks behind him and sees Chucky sitting there. Jake doesn't believe what he sees. Chucky starts talking, and people think Jake is the one speaking. Only Jake knows the truth. Chucky reveals that Lexi is cheating on her boyfriend and searching for Botox injections and colon treatments. Lexi is humiliated, and the audience enjoys the show. Jake returns home and finds his father drunk. His father tells him that the school called and expelled him for his behavior at the talent show. Jake's father beats him and takes away Chucky. Jake goes to his room and cries. His father gets drunk again and accidentally breaks a bottle. Jake goes to the basement to fix the electricity and finds Chucky. Chucky throws the whiskey on the floor, and Jake's father gets electrocuted and dies. The police arrive and find Jake collapsed. His uncle consoles him and offers to take him in. Jake agrees. Jake enters his new... He realizes that Chucky is not just a doll and can talk. Chucky introduces himself, and Jake is terrified. Chucky tells Jake he deserved to be killed for treating him with contempt. Jake defends his father, saying he was kind to him when he was young but had mental health issues after his mother's death. Jake reveals he researched Chucky and knows he is possessed by the spirit of the serial killer Charles. Chucky says people haven't mentioned that name in years and asks Jake to call him Chucky. Chucky pulls out his knife and tells Jake they need to think about how they'll kill Lexi. A flashback shows Charles as a child on Halloween, enjoying the candy he collected. He bites into an apple with a worm inside and enjoys the pain. In the present, Logan arrives at school to pick up Jake. Jake notices everyone talking about him, upset that he's back. He apologizes to Oliver for bullying him. Oliver offers Jake a spot at his Halloween party. Jake declines due to not having a costume. Logan finds the maid dead in the kitchen. The police arrive and investigate. Kim, Devon's mother, is the investigator and was also present when Jake's father died. She's surprised by the 2 deaths within a week and questions Jake about any psychological problems or issues with the maid. Logan and his wife defend Jake, insisting he's a good boy and wasn't present when the maid died. Kim is convinced by their logic. Jake argues with Chucky about the maid's death. Chucky insists it was an accident and says he wants to kill Lexi. Junior enters Jake's room and finds him arguing with Chucky. Junior leaves and Jake follows him. Veronica, Lexi's little sister, drew a picture of Chucky after seeing him at the talent show. Her family is impressed by her drawing skills despite her social withdrawal. They encourage Lexi to take Veronica to Oliver's party. Junior prepares for the party but doesn't want to go with his cousin. Jake decides to go to the party. As Jake leaves, he sees Chucky wearing a mask and walking down the street towards the party. Junior arrives at the party and searches high and low for Lexi, only to find her sitting by herself, looking completely out of place without a costume. Lexi is surprised to see him. Junior tries to talk to her, but she ignores him. Lexi tells Jake she'll surprise him at the party with her fancy dress. They get close to each other. Jake arrives at the party and searches for Lexi to save her from Chucky. He meets Devon, who doesn't know where Lexi is. Chucky is at the party playing with Veronica. Veronica tells him that Lexi is probably with Junior. Chucky says Lexi is annoying and they should kill her. Veronica disagrees, believing killing is wrong. Chucky insists her mother doesn't understand, and she should be killed too. Chucky hides under the bed where Junior and Lexi are sleeping and tries to stab Lexi with a knife. Jake is still looking for Lexi. He sees someone wearing his father's clothes saying they're dying. Jake is shocked and goes outside. Devon calms him down, but Jake is angry. Jake sees Chucky standing behind Lexi with a knife. He grabs Chucky and leaves. At home, Jake asks Chucky not to kill anyone else. Chucky says life is a challenge and there must be a killer and a victim. He asks Jake if he wants to be the killer. Jake hesitates but takes the knife. Chucky asks if Jake prefers strangulation or stabbing. Jake doesn't like killing, but Chucky tells him he needs to be bold. Chucky explains his own motivations for becoming a serial killer. The detective arrives at the school and asks about Jake. Eve, the teacher, can't discuss a student who isn't present. She mentions Jake's recent trauma and believes he might be a danger to others. Eve decides to talk to Jake. Eve tells Jake she knows what Lexi did at the party and is upset. She wants to involve Jake's uncle and Lexi's parents. Jake agrees to meet with them. After school, Jake watches Lexi practicing in the street. Chucky advised him to follow her movements. Jake follows her until she gets lost. He finds her and tries to stab her, but she notices and curses him. Junior fights with Lexi because of her actions. Lexi apologizes to Jake, who accepts. Lexi wants Chucky for her little sister, but Jake refuses. Chucky tells him he killed the maid. Jake is shocked and tells Chucky he's crazy. Chucky insists the maid was a hindrance and he had to kill her. Chucky tells Jake he wants to kill Lexi. Chucky insists that he kill Lexi himself after failing to do so before. Jake reluctantly agrees and takes Chucky to Lexi's house. Veronica is overjoyed to see Chucky, and her mental state improves significantly. Her parents are relieved to see her happier. Lexi's parents are out, so she invites her friends over for a party. Junior is particularly excited to see Chucky at his girlfriend's house. Alex apologizes to her cousin for taking Chucky. At school, Evo, the teacher, holds a meeting with Lexi's family and Jake. She shows them a video of Lexi bullying Jake's deceased father. The family is shocked and devastated, especially Lexi's parents, who struggle to believe their daughter's actions. That night, Chucky tells Veronica he needs to leave to kill Lexi and asks if she wants to come. She declines, preferring to sleep. Lexi and her friends are partying, blasting music to drown out any noise. Lexi notices Veronica getting out of bed and smiles. Veronica explains that Chucky left and asks her to find him. A flashback shows young Charles witnessing his father's murder by a serial killer. Charles hides in a closet with a knife, confronting the killer and offering to help him. In the present, Chucky searches for Lexi, mistaking Oliver for her. He brutally murders Oliver. Lexi is smoking drugs in her room when Chucky attacks her, strangling her with her chain. The drugs accidentally ignite a fire, engulfing the apartment. Lexi fights back, eventually knocking Chucky down and escaping. Jake, who was at his mother's grave, hears the fire and rushes to Lexi's house. He suspects Chucky is responsible and heads to the hospital. There, he sees Oliver's grieving parents and his injured friends, including Veronica, who is in a coma. He's surprised not to see Lexi. Lexi suddenly appears, laughing at Chucky. She reveals that Chucky tried to kill her and that he's the one who killed her father. Jake is shocked but already knew this. He asks where she last saw Chucky, and she tells him in her room. She's surprised he wanted to kill her and asks why. Jake was manipulated into believing he was responsible for Lexi's bullying. She angrily threatens to tell everyone what happened, but Jake insists no one will believe her. Dave, in the hospital, is questioned by his mother about Jake's presence at the party. He denies it, but his mother suspects Jake is involved in the murders. She confesses that Oliver didn't die in the fire but was stabbed. Lexi confronts her parents about her sister's health, but they blame her for everything. She insists she's not at fault and demands they confront Jake's family. They reluctantly agree, pleading with Lexi to stop bullying Jake. Devin informs Jake that Oliver was murdered and that his mother has been acting strangely. She asks him to be cautious around her. Devin also suggests that despite their differences, Jake and Lexi should work together to stop Chucky. They agree to go to Lexi's house and search for Chucky, filled with fear of what they might find. Devin searches for the Chucky doll. He knows the doll is possessed by the spirit of a serial killer named Charles Wan. This man was a magician who transferred his soul to the doll before the police killed him. We return to Jake and Lexi as they climb the stairs to find Chucky. By accident, Lexi slips and breaks a picture frame. She's about to fall when Jake grabs her hand. Just then, Chucky appears. His face is disfigured by fire, and he taunts Jake, telling him to let Lexi fall. He blames her for all the bad things that have happened to him. Jake refuses, saying he'll never be a killer like Chucky. Before Lexi falls, Jake pulls her to safety. An investigator enters the house and yells at them for being there before the investigation is over. He sees Chucky and takes the doll with him because Veronica's family wants it for their daughter. Jake and Lexi try to stop him but can't. Jake and Lexi rush to the hospital to find Chucky. The investigator brings Chucky to Veronica's room and leaves the doll on the table. He starts eating some candy that was brought for Veronica, but Chucky throws a scalpel at his back. The investigator falls to the ground, paralyzed. Chucky tells him he's now trapped and can't move or make any sound. We return to Lexi after she meets Devin by chance. He tells her something strange about Chucky, and she believes him. She confesses that Chucky's doll is alive and responsible for the recent murders. A flashback shows Charles Wan as a teenager living in a foster home. One day, he takes the other orphans on a tour of the forest and shows them a decomposed body he killed. All the children are scared except for one, who encourages Charles to be great. Before Charles escapes the foster home, he gives the child a gift that contains a severed hand. Back in the city, Kim pressures Jake to confess to the crimes. Jake denies any involvement. Suddenly, they hear an alarm. Someone has disconnected Veronica's respirator. They rush to her side and see the detective on the ground, covered in blood. Jake, Lexi, and Devin look at Chucky, who laughs evilly. A flashback shows Charles Wan in his 30s. He meets a night girl named Lily and convinces her to spend the night with him. In the present, Veronica wakes up from the coma. Her father is overjoyed, but Veronica screams when she sees Chucky's disfigured face. Her father throws Chucky in the trash. Lexi checks on Veronica and asks about Chucky. Her father tells her he threw it away. Lexi, Jake, and Devin search for Chucky but can't find him. The next day at school, Junior is jealous that Lexi, Jake, and Devin have become friends and are keeping secrets from him. Veronica gets out of the hospital and returns home. Her father gives her new dolls to replace Chucky. Lexi sees the dolls and hits them. She then takes a picture and sends it to Jake and Devin. That night, Veronica plays with the new Chucky doll. The original Chucky watches from behind the window, jealous. He possesses the new doll and enters Veronica's room. When Veronica's father sees the doll's deformed shape, he throws it in the trash. Lexi and her friends find the doll and beat it until it breaks. They think they've finally gotten rid of Chucky, but they don't know he's transferred his soul to the new doll. A flashback shows Charles Wan with two girls. He feels a connection with one of them, Tiff, who has criminal tendencies like him. He gets close to the other girl and feeds her in a terrifying way. Tiff is happy with her appearance and takes a knife from Charles. Charles decides to get engaged to Tiff. In the present, Tiff and Nika are in a hotel. Nika's body has been possessed by a part of Ashok's soul, and they torture and kill people. Nika regains consciousness and doesn't understand what she's seeing. Chucky returns and takes possession of her again. At Gecko's school, the mayor holds a meeting to reassure the community that the murders will not happen again. She imposes a curfew on the city. After reassuring Jake, she calls the principal to report the incident. But before she can finish, they find the principal's headless body. Jake and his friends realize Chucky is still alive. The next day, Andy arrives with his half-sister, claiming to be researching the city of Hackensack. As a child, Andy was the first to own a possessed Chucky doll. While asking random questions, Andy notices a Chucky doll among the toys. He pulls out his gun and shoots Chucky until he's seemingly dead. Kim, a detective, arrests the teacher Eve for the recent murders. Jake and his friends try to defend her, but she's arrested anyway. Jake and his friends decide to confront Chucky. Devin suggests contacting Andy, who has experience dealing with possessed dolls. They learn that Andy was the first kid to get a Chucky doll in the 1980s. Meanwhile, Tiff, the doll's killer, tries to possess another victim. Nika, the possessed girl, is terrified and doesn't know how to act. Real, Nika's mother, reveals she has stage 4 cancer to her husband and son. Her husband is devastated, and Junior is scared for his mom. Jake witnesses this and feels sorry for his cousin. Tiff and Nika are playing, but Nika is secretly conscious. Tiff discovers Nika is faking and starts to scare her. Nika reveals she's paralyzed but can control her body when Chucky leaves. Tiff tells Nika she bought an apartment in the city so they can live together forever. She hits Nika on the head, knocking her unconscious. Jake and his friends try to reach Andy. Finally, they get his number and call him. Jake tells Andy about Chucky and asks for help. Andy warns them not to seek Chucky out, as he will come to them and kill their entire family, just like he did to Andy's family. Junior takes his mom to the clinic for treatment. While she's inside, Chucky appears and throws her out the window. She dies instantly. Logan and his son are shocked by Ray's death and think she committed suicide. Jake is convinced she was murdered by Chucky. He argues with Junior, who becomes angry and says their life was perfect before Jake appeared. At night, the three friends gather at the house, expecting Chucky to appear. Jake and Devin notice the trap moving and hear laughter. Lexi is in the room when Chucky appears with a knife. He says he won't kill her if she kills Jake. Jake surprises Chucky from behind and tries to attack him, but Chucky wounds Jake's leg and escapes. Devin confronts Chucky and tries to stun him, but it doesn't work. Chucky prepares to kill Devin when Detective Kim arrives. Chucky attacks Kim, but she throws him off and accidentally falls down the stairs, breaking her neck. Devin is devastated to see his mother dead. The next day, Jake attends his uncle's funeral. Devin arrives, and they offer condolences. Devin plans to stay with his aunt and suggests they distance themselves from each other. Junior arrives, angry at Gecko. Felix defends Gecko, and Junior attacks Jake. Logan intervenes, apologizes for Junior's behavior, and notices Tiff at the funeral. Tiff kisses Logan and leaves. Jake meets with Devin and tries to convince him to stay friends. Devin insists on staying apart. Junior asks his father about the woman who kissed him. His father doesn't know, but Junior suspects he was cheating on his mother. Junior hides Chucky in his room and realizes Chucky is possessed. They become friends, unaware of Chucky's murderous actions. The mayor, Lexi's mother, holds a press conference, promising to catch the killer and announcing a charity event. Chucky convinces Junior to kill his father, blaming him for his mother's suicide and Lexi's departure. Junior is convinced. Jake steals money and runs away from home. Devin finds Charles's old address and goes there to confront Chucky. The scene shifts to Chicago in 1988, where Tiff returns home. Charles philosophizes about committing murder without telling his partner. She starts choking him and says murder is a common topic between them. She accuses him of being selfish for not wanting to kill with her anymore. They argue, and she mentions she made dinner for him. He kisses her. Devin arrives at Charles's old house and finds Nika tied up. She pleads for help, fearing Tiff will hurt her. Devin frees her, but Nika's spirit returns, and Chucky takes over. Jake is at the train station, unties himself, and sees a representative carrying Chucky dolls. The representative offers to buy them at double the price and asks for the delivery address. Jake agrees and receives the address. He delivers the dolls to Lexi, who gives him the address of Charles's old house. Jake uses his phone to track Devin, discovering he's also at Charles's house. Junior is drunk in his room with Chucky. Chucky speaks to Logan, calling him a failure and a traitor. Logan leaves, and Junior confronts him, blaming him for his mother's death. His father insults him, and Junior hits him with Chucky's doll until his father dies. Lexi and Jake are waiting for their friend when the Chucky doll they have wakes up and pulls out a knife. Dave is tied to a chair, surrounded by Chucky's blood. Chucky tells Junior he's proud of him and that the real fun is about to begin. They look out the window and see Andy arriving. Andy knocks on the door and Junior answers. Andy asks for Jake, and Junior says he's not home. Andy insists on seeing his father, but Junior says he's not there. Andy asks about Chucky, and Junior doesn't know where he is. Andy warns Junior to be careful with the dolls and leaves. Chucky appears, and they ask Junior why he didn't kill Andy. Junior says Chucky is armed and could easily kill him. Lexi and Jake notice the Chucky doll they have disappeared. Chucky appears with a knife. They are frozen in place, but Kai, Andy's stepsister, arrives. She distracts Chucky and tells Lexi and Jake about Chucky's soul splitting into multiple dolls using voodoo magic. She drugs them and tells them not to tell her anything because she will save their friend. Tiff arrives at her house, and Nika attacks her. Junior and Chucky appear, and Chucky asks Nika if she should kill Tiff. Tiff reveals her army of Chucky dolls, created using voodoo magic. She sends them to the charity party the mayor is hosting. Chucky asks Tiff to kill Nika to get rid of his spirit inside her. Tiff refuses, saying Nika is the only one who respects her when she's conscious. Chucky becomes angry and tells Junior he will kill Nika. Junior approaches Nika, but Tiff cuts off Chucky's head. Tiff reveals she informed the police about Chucky before he possessed the doll. Chucky curses her and swears to kill her. Tiff sets traps in the house, takes Junior and Domia with her, and leaves Devin alone. Andy arrives and frees Devin. He asks about the blood shipment, but Chucky refuses to tell him. Kyle enters the house, triggering traps and causing an explosion. Lexi and Jake wake up from the explosion and learn about the destruction. Jake goes to Devin's house, finds him collapsed, and hugs him. Kyle tells them Chucky took control of Junior and made him kill his father. The mayor is holding a press conference and introduces Jennifer, the famous actress who is actually Tiff. Tiff announces she will give a Chucky doll to every sick child in the hospital. When a child grabs a doll, Tiff fights the doll. Lexi sees Junior calling for help and finds him holding a knife, with Chucky also armed. Lexi is scared and asks why Junior's acting this way. Junior says Chucky taught him how to be a real man and convinced him to kill his father. He asks Lexi to join them, but she refuses. Chucky tells Junior to kill Lexi because she's hopeless. Junior grabs a knife and kills Chucky, but Chucky also cuts Junior with his knife. Before he dies, Junior asks Lexi and his friends to forgive him. The mayor and her husband are watching a movie in the theater when Chucky, possessed by Veronica, attacks and kills the mayor's husband. People start screaming and running out of the theater. Jake enters the theater, looking for Chucky. He sees Chucky's body and believes he's finally dead. Jake, Devin, and Lexi meet outside the theater. Lexi tells them about Junior. A car with Chucky's blood inside is parked outside the theater. Tiff asks the driver to take the car to the airport, but Andy takes control of the car and signals to Jake and his friends that he's okay. Tiff appears and points her weapon at Andy. He tries to cooperate instead of fighting. Days later, Nick wakes up from a coma and finds Tiff. Tiff tells Nick she had to cut off her hands and feet to prevent Chucky from taking over her again. Nick is shocked and has a nervous breakdown. Tiff tells him the real fun hasn't started yet and that this was just children's play, and the season 1 of the series ends. If you like the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel Chino Movie. And if you want to follow the summaries comedy, don't forget to follow the page Abdo Atef, and we'll see you in the next summary. Goodbye.